Boop boop. Oh yeah, we can't stream, but we're recording.
Okay, let's start this Records Retention Committee meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to give you a time. 1:19.
September 28th.
8th, yes. So, let's review and approve the minutes from last meeting
Does
on
anyone
August
need
17th.
a copy?
I already saw it. You showed it to me.
I have mine.
Thank you. Karen,
This
how
one.
I
about
have
you?
mine.
Okay. Dana? Yes, I have one.
I had no changes to the minutes.
Same. I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye,
I think
aye,
we all
aye.
ayed. So.
Yeah, we all.
Aye.
Aye aye.
Minutes are approved. Review of the retention policy. I did get comments back from Karen. Did
I only
anybody else
have one comment. I didn't see it in there, but I did mention it at the last meeting, is I wanted to make sure that we had in there that it was to the town's capability for the record retention, that we put that in there. Just in case.
Where, Russ?
I'm not sure where it was put in the other policies. I would have to look at what section it was put in, but I can get you that.
So just wording
To say that we can only keep records to what we are able to do. So,
like capacity-wise? storage
capacity-wise.
capacity?
Because there are some things, like for example, the video records, you know, we might not necessarily have the storage capacity to keep them forever. That's just the
Okay.
way it is.
And it's not one of those records that we would have to keep permanently, that we would have to
Correct.
make other arrangements for. Okay. So that, I
So
guess
would
it would be
that come
under-
scope, where it says mentions electronic records there?
well, or in under storage,
That's where I was
retention, and
thinking we could.
destruction, somewhere, some
Or
type
maybe
of.
under the storage procedure, because you wanted to add, I saw put in the permanent records with the bins and clearly labeled, and then add a C where it's like the town can only restore things to its capabilities.
So I have one thing that I think should be changed also, but I didn't send it to you.
Okay, can we address Russell's first?
Yeah.
So yours is saying, repeat it again for me, please.
So it's basically to say we can only store things to what the town is capable of storing.
These are these are records that are not required to be permanent records.
Right, and
things
also
like
we
that.
can't, because in some towns go above and beyond in certain record retention capacities because they have more money than we do, for example, or they
Yeah.
have more storage space,
Mhm.
which we're limited by our budget and the storage space we have available. And I think we should make that clear in the policy so that people understand that, you know.
So should we make it clear that we're not talking about permanent
Right,
records requirements, that it's just really more convenience. I'm thinking of the electronics things, that eventually you run out of room or something,
right.
yeah. So is there something that we could add to that, saying, records other than perpetual records will be kept as long as, capacity allows, or something like that?
Like I said,
Or-
I can look at the language they put in the other ordinances because they have very clear
They-
defined
Oh, you've got
language.
this from the sample, you mean?
Sample ordinances. So I thought it was a good thing to add into ours.
Okay.
Okay, so Russ, you wanna
I can get you the
get that
language.
back to us? Okay.
You wanna look at these and see if you can pick it up?
I can.
Wendy, did you have something you wanted?
Yeah, I think on Appendix A, where it says Select Board for a lot of the stuff that has to do with accounting, right up until tax warrants and book, which is Karen. I think a lot of that, payroll IRS, payroll pay stubs, time cards, accounts receivable, accounts payable, that should probably all say Finance, not Select Board, because you'd be hard pressed. They do have control over all of that, but they would not know where any of it is.
Well, this was just a carryover of the sample that was on the original draft policy.
Yeah,
My notes were just to be that Appendix A would be updated with the schedule that I'm waiting to receive from each department.
Okay,
That's what I'm,
okay.
but yes. So if you feel that some of these things that say select board now should be finance, we'll just update, because we'll probably just wipe this right out and incorporate that spreadsheet that went around
Okay,
to the
but I
departments.
can't find,
So she would
But I'll
use that
find
on on this schedule, the retention schedule, she would list accounts payable, as
As like finance,
from finance.
yeah.
Okay, all right. I
I
have
need to
this, so I
find
can
the
give it to you.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
you said you sent it, but I don't know where it is.
I've got the
I looked.
language.
Oh,
Okay,
Russ
I've
has
got-
the language.
I've got more.
So it's under section 5, the Municipal Record Retention Committee. It is section 3 on the Hollis one. And it says, any such additional procedures will be developed in a manner which takes into account the organization's operational capabilities. The Record Retention Committee may elect to use electronic methods of document storage when appropriate. And they also have that in section 5 under it. The committee shall monitor compliance with section 6 of this policy as necessary, developed in operational procedures to ensure that records are consistently disposed of in an appropriate manner. Any such additional procedures shall take into account. And the first bullet is statutory requirements, and the second one is the town's operational capacity. And I wanna make that, so this one and there.
Okay, I'm gonna make a copy and then
Just keep it.
Yeah,
It was
'cause I
the-
can't
I
find
ran it
page
off
if
the
we
two.
computer
highlight it,
before.
because I couldn't write that down.
You can?
Yeah.
One sentence.
It is a long sentence, and I repicked.
No, non-permanent records will be stored according to town's capacity.
I think that, yeah.
I
And
like
just, and the
that too.
destruction
Is that
will be
under-
done according to the town's capacity. Because, not everybody has an incinerator or whatever, a shredder. Well, we have a
Our
shredder.
company, the
Or a
shreds.
company,
Oh.
Where,
Right.
I have page 2 now, where was that? Right here?
So is this, I'm gonna underline it, and it was all of this. Because I know we have a limited budget, and it's good to keep that in mind.
Is it here, Vince? Where is it?
Karen's sentence is shorter and sweeter.
It is. I don't mind whatever the language is.
Okay.
I
so-
just think we need to have something like that in our policy to make sure that people understand that we can only do
Right.
things that we're capable of doing.
I'm sorry, I missed Karen's.
That's
sentence.
fine, yes. Water under the bridge.
It was a simpler sentence.
Oh,
It was great.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
You'll have to play it back.
Yeah, pay attention.
Play it back on the rewind of
Well,
the recording.
it is
We're being
here on
recorded.
number
Is it?
E,
You're lucky because you're back.
monitoring
Yeah.
compliance with
Live.
said policy by local officials and town employees, and if necessary, develop additional operational procedures
I don't
to ensure that
have.
records are properly stored and accessible.
Oh, there it is. on
What
top
page
of
is
it.
that?
Well, it's,
Top of the second page.
Yeah,
Okay, never mind then.
I didn't number the pages, but
Yeah.
I must have just missed it.
okay. So my question is that the very first thing, I know that there's some type of differentiation between ordinance and policy. My thing that I wanted to bring up was that the statute says ordinance, but we originally were calling it a policy.
I think it,
Should we go with how the statute is telling us to run as a committee or have this?
I think an ordinance is something that has to be voted on by the boards and the town, and a policy is something we can develop on our own. I think the legislative body has to approve an ordinance in the capacity of, like planning board, zoning board. The ordinances are usually done by a zoning board. A policy is something that we have the capacity to do without further. And I know that the state says it's an ordinance. Well, the state says it's an ordinance because their legislative body voted it as an ordinance. So,
But they're talking about the local level. I think the statute was saying that if we either go by the state, the 33
A, yeah.
A, colon 3, or if we had a local ordinance.
I think Wendy's right, but I need to refresh my memory
Yeah,
on the ordinance and policy and if
That's,
if we can do an ordinance, I've never seen really individual things such as this go to a town meeting, you know.
and that's what an ordinance has to do?
Well, that's what I wanna make sure, but
Okay.
I believe, well, the select board adopted, for example, the ordinance for the fire alarm. And so I just wanna make sure that we do it right, but I think we could call it an ordinance, but the select board would have to be involved, obviously, and
Well, they would be signing off on this policy anyway.
understood, but I'm just saying if we called it an ordinance, they'd definitely have to be involved. If it was a policy, they would too, but
So
And I'm
more
not sure what
research
the
on what
different-
ordinance means.
I'm not really sure what the difference is.
I'm not either.
So
you know.
I guess like Karen said, we can research the difference of ordinance or
versus
policy. Oh, here it is. Unless otherwise provided by a municipal ordinance, the committee shall designate the office responsible for the retention of each type of record created for the municipality. So that was in the statute.
Would you read that once more,
Yes.
please?
So it's under the definition of municipal committee. The municipal officers or their designee, together with the clerk, treasurer, assessor, tax collector, shall constitute a committee to govern the disposition of municipal records pursuant to this chapter. Unless otherwise provided by a municipal ordinance, the committee shall designate the office responsible for the retention of each type of record created for the municipality. So that's the only place I was seeing that, a municipal ordinance.
Okay, so here's my question, after hearing that, do we need an ordinance? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but do we?
Well, so we
because
have been
if we
running
don't have
by
it, we have been
basically
doing- yeah,
this.
Yeah,
I don't
we
think
need a
it.
policy, but,
I don't think we need it.
yeah.
So you don't think we need this policy?
We need the policy, we don't need to call it an ordinance. It stands on itself. If the appropriate people have brought it together and it is later approved by the select board, it doesn't matter what we call it.
I mean, it sounds like in there that you have a choice, you can do the ordinance, or if you don't go that way, then it's this committee that,
Because we have to have the committee.
yeah, so, and we have,
But it says you have to have these people on this committee unless you have a municipal ordinance that tells you otherwise.
right, because you could have a municipal ordinance that says it's gonna be made up of the treasurer and something else.
We don't have
Yeah.
that, we don't have that
Interpreting it
ordinance.
differently.
I'm taking it that, you know, I'm thinking we could call it a policy.
Okay. Policy it is.
Although the board, as you pointed out, they would have to,
Yeah, they're signing
they
off
would
on
sign it and, you know,
it.
make it formal.
Russ, wanna hand that back to me in case we need it again?
Karen, did you put this in here formatted red font?
Yeah, I made some changes because
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that I wasn't making changes that wouldn't be noticeable.
Okay.
And so that sentence appeared in paragraph B, and I think it belongs in paragraph A, because it's talking about permanent records. Paragraph B is talking about non-permanent.
So all I did was put an arrow and moved it up to, so you get rid of the red one and leave the blue one.
Well, they're
And
both
it's both
red
red.
on mine, but I
Yeah,
would
have
delete
anything
it from
in
B.
color.
I didn't wanna make a permanent change, or a change that might be overlooked, so I made them both red. So it originally appeared in paragraph B, and I'm suggesting we move it to paragraph A. And I think Dana and I pointed that out at our last meeting.
Maybe, yeah,
That it
yeah.
needed to
Well,
be clear.
Conica, this is how the Conica printed it today, blue and red.
Oh,
So I went back and just put an arrow that, you know, you'd get rid of the red and you'd keep it in.
Well, that was my
under-
suggestion.
Under perpetuity, I think
Because I
that's
use the
right.
Konica, mine are both red.
Well, it's my machine, so, you know,
you're-
it's my
oh, you-
machine.
I
Well,
thought you meant
no,
the
I
copy
printed-
machine.
I did,
Oh.
I printed it on the Conica, but, you know,
Okay,
I don't know what went wrong.
So
but-
basically, just move that up to the permanent records.
into the A
Fine.
position,
Yeah,
under
okay.
A.
so leave it
Perpetuity.
as it, just delete what's red from B, and then make the red black
Okay.
on A. And then my other comment was under D, destruction. We've got 1, 2, 3, and there's nothing under 4, so I wondered what that was supposed to be.
It's probably just a space. so I can read.
And
That's
it's on the
just
top of the
formatting.
next page.
I'm looking at Roman numerals.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's
yeah,
nothing
oh, I'm
next to
sorry.
it, so probably she
So
just,
it's probably
Yeah.
just a
you
return.
probably can move log up
Oh.
to that.
Yeah, so, okay. But that was, so what was this, do we wanna add any instructions to require the department head to provide a copy to the town clerk or committee? I think that's a good idea, so that we have proof of what's going on
I
and,
said it was okay with me.
I think it's a good idea too.
okay. And then it's just a matter of cleaning up the language, but also replacing appendix A and B with what we get back from the department heads?
As far as which department we're looking at.
Yeah, and it's, and the schedule is a little broader in what we've given out to department heads and committees,
Mm.
committee chairs
Mhm.
for the type of information that we're getting.
Yeah. Other than that, I think the policy's pretty good.
I got a note that says, ask Dana, see the spreadsheet.
I will give you the
I still
spreadsheet.
don't have it.
I think I sent you an email, Wendy, with the updated one to work on.
I'll look
The
at-
one
I'll
that
look-
wraps the
Yeah,
text.
there was one she sent that, so you could wrap it. Wrap it, baby.
Wrap it.
I think it's a little.
But I have it, Wendy, I can send it to you.
So I can incorporate all this and clean it up a little bit and have a schedule ready next time, or should we just clean it up and then I give it to Dana to put before the board?
That would be fine with me, but
Karen had another question though on appendix B.
Okay.
She said town warrants as posted, does this refer to warrants at town meeting? If so, we are on the list of the tax collector records that would include the warrants, abatements, liens, and deeds for non-payment of taxes.
I think I'm expected to add my records to this.
Yeah, this
To this?
this was
Yeah.
just from the original draft, Wendy.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
this will pretty much be added to, like, and be a little clearer.
so would that be on appendix A or appendix B?
Well,
With Karen's?
appendix, if Karen's things have to be in perpetuity, then it would be on B.
Thank you.
I don't
I
know.
wrote the wrong letter.
And Dave asked a question of me, and he was asking how things would be added to the list. And we should put that in the policy if it's not in there.
Well, we would add to it as necessary when we meet, because we have to meet at least annually.
Right. And is that in the policy that
Um,
when we meet annually, we'll determine and make a decision on new record types to be added to the policy, and that's the process? That was the question that I was asked, so I'm bringing it up.
No, I don't remember if it says we have to meet annually. Does, the law says we have to meet annually.
Yeah,
Does it have to be in the policy?
well, he wanted
Oh,
the
yes.
way we.
Said committee shall meet a minimum of once per year and be comprised.
Where is that?
It's in, 3, 4, 5, Municipal Records Committee.
Yeah. Second sentence.
Said committee, got it.
Yep, and it's in, that we modify the list, it's under B or 2, that we add to the appendix
Gosh,
as
I'm not
needed.
even on here, I don't have to come anymore. I'm not even included.
Well, I put, but you are included, because it, so I put the language of the statute
Yeah,
as to who had to be on there, but it also can be expand the membership as they deem appropriate.
oh jeez.
And we have deemed it to be appropriate.
Appropriate.
Yes.
Well, then I think she should be listed. I think finance should be listed. She'll be a minimum. This is gonna be the town of Webster's policy, and I think the finance person should be listed as a
Then I
member.
shouldn't quote the statute, or in, because I have in accordance with RSA.
33A.
Doesn't
Yeah,
the
I don't
RSA
think
say
that
we
needs to
can
be
add
there.
other people? The RSA says we can add other people as we deem.
We don't need to put that in accordance of RSA. It could just start off with the town will establish. It's our policy,
Okay.
so we could take that
If
right
that's how
off.
we wanna do it,
We could, I'm suggesting.
I'm
I
fine
think
with
that's a
it.
good idea. So you can
So,
just start with the town will establish and maintain a municipal records
And
committee.
then add finance, town clerk and assessor, finance, what's your title?
Good
Financial
question.
administrator. They hired these finance officers up, so I don't know, but I still have a sign that says I'm financial administrator.
Or financial coordinator.
Anything.
There's lots of words we can
Officer
use.
sounds very official, I like that.
There you go, yeah.
So financial officer?
Mhm. And tax collector.
Okay.
And we can also probably adjust the titles.
And then the last sentence just says you can expand as you deem appropriate, so that's good.
And does it say we can,
To include
Amendment.
representative of other departments, boards, and committees.
but as far as changing the schedule,
Yeah, that's covered,
okay.
because Appendix A is the schedule.
So you said David wanted to know if we were to add another document to be kept, is that?
Of what process it would have to go through, and I can answer that question. The Municipal Records Committee
Yeah,
would
you come to
discuss
the
it, and vote
committee.
on it, and then add
Yeah.
it to it.
Yeah,
And certainly if the RSA was updated in any way, we would have to address that as well.
Right.
no,
I think he was wondering if the select board could add stuff to the list, or
no, I think it goes to the committee.
the select board can request.
The select
committee.
board representative
Yep.
could request that, you would
Yep.
vote it.
That would be me at the moment.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, we
No,
don't want those
I'm sorry, we're
records.
not adding
We
that.
don't have room for those.
Right. Like, we don't have enough to do.
We also don't have much room in the vault.
I just remember we're being recorded.
Yeah.
So we're going to, I will
And how long will you
clean
keep
this up and give it to you
Okay,
to ask the board to,
okay, so, when you, and I'm not pressuring you, but would it be at their next meeting? We
which
could
is
give it
when?
next Monday? If not-
I already told Dave we probably wouldn't have it on the 4th, but we'd probably have it on the meeting after
Okay,
that.
all
Which
right,
gives Michelle time
okay, okay,
to make it look good.
Okay, so if
Okay.
I have it ready for you on the 4th, great, but
okay,
no
well,
pressure.
yeah, I'll plan to put it on the agenda for the
'Cause we need to
18th.
follow up with all these other departments then, because if we're going to incorporate this, their response on that spreadsheet into the appendix, I'm not gonna have anything to give to them other than Karen's at this point. So
have
we need,
mine.
can you shoot another email to chairs and department heads?
Okay, tell me what I'm saying to them, another spreadsheet, that we need the spreadsheet, is that what you're saying?
Yes, like, how are you making out on filling that in?
And getting it back to us.
Yeah, we need it back before the next select board meeting.
Do they have a copy of the RSA so they understand what
You
is?
can give them a link to it.
Well, it might give you more clout if they realize.
Okay. I can do that.
But they should know what documents are coming through their office, that the RSA will give them specifics on certain documents, but I don't want them to limit themselves just to the RSA.
Well, and many of these committees really would only have maybe one,
And the minutes are what's crucial.
or that's what I'm thinking.
Well, I keep coming back to the cemetery records.
Well, I know where those were.
You know where they are?
Yep, they were in the vault for a while. Not the vault, they were in the, they might still be in there.
But the minutes?
Or, not their minutes, but I said
No.
I know where all the cemetery records, they were in town hall.
Well, that's what I was concerned about, whether we know who's planted where is important, I think.
Well, they were in the utility room a little while ago, I don't know if they're still in there.
And
Well,
are they
there's
up to
some-
date? Are
some
they
parts of them.
updated all the
Well,
time?
maybe once we
Brenda
get
does
to a
that.
point and we see what holes we have, for example, we could invite Brenda to come in and talk to her
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter to me who does it, I just think they should be up to date, so that 15 years from now, there isn't a huge mistake when someone needs to,
And I think some of the older records should probably be digitized so that they're preserved.
yeah.
Which I think is the next item on our
Yeah,
agenda. Discussion regarding digitizing records.
We have an
Good
agenda.
segue.
Oh, yeah.
Are we through with the policy?
Well, I think the outcome was that I was gonna clean it up, give it to Dana to give to the select board.
Do we wanna make a motion to that? That we approve it after the changes to go to the select board,
And incorporating the
incorporating the
schedules
changes?
from the departments.
Or we're gonna approve it as amended?
And that's not saying that if we come across something and we felt it should be amended, that we couldn't do that.
Yeah, we can
Right.
amend it in the future if we
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had an agenda for today. I thought we
Well, it's
just-
from the
It's on the,
draft-
it's on
it's
the
from the
minute,
minutes
it's
from
on the
last
draft
week.
minutes.
Oh, okay.
I think it's kind of a work in progress. I don't know that,
You
I
don't
think
it's
it's always
ready?
going to be,
Oh, we
actually.
didn't
Yeah,
pay attention.
right.
Especially
I think
when
as long as it's presented to the select board as a work in progress,
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll
I
sign
mean,
it
if
that
they
way,
sign it as a policy and then we feel at another meeting that, we really should add this, we could amend it and then have them sign it again.
Well, what they're signing, I guess, is the policy with the idea that the appendices will be updated as we go along. Because their signature comes before the appendix.
Right.
Right, because we're waiting, Michelle's waiting for more.
Well, we can
of
have
these
them
ones.
sign off on it and put
Sign
the
off on the
appendix on a separate document that we can attach to it. And then we can put the date the appendix was last amended on it.
Yeah, so let
And
them
just
know
continue
that they're
it.
approving the policy, but that the appendix A and B
We'll
will be,
follow.
I don't know how, is it appendices?
Appendices, yep, that's right.
Appendices will be updated as we go further in the project.
I think that's
I
fine.
think that makes
Yeah.
more sense,
Yeah.
because I don't think you're gonna have appendix A and B finished by
No,
the 18th.
No,
I don't think so either.
Yeah, so they're not approving the
they're not
appendices.
approving the appendix, they're just doing the appendices.
Oh, they're gonna have to get their
The
appendix
policy.
out after, so that's
Right,
fine.
right. Maybe both of them,
Maybe both.
A and
And
B.
B.
We'll go back to digitizing records.
Right, does anyone have input on that?
I think where it may not impact what we have to have permanently and on paper, et cetera, I think it would be a great thing to have them digitized so that we could locate them easily,
Mm-hmm.
and that we would also save a lot of traffic in the vault and powering through records that, if we didn't need to, if we needed to produce the original, we certainly could, but have them so we know where to find them. And I think it's, in this day and age, it's much easier to find something electronically than it is in person.
Well, and speaking on to that note, since we have all access to the C drive, I think we should maybe discuss how files are named. So that way future board members or people can locate things that were in the past. Just saying that certain things should be included in the title of any file you save.
I think it should match the appendices
Yeah.
myself.
Should
Because
that
all of us, I'm
be-
sure, when we name files, we do it differently,
Right.
yeah.
And I think that, I mean, you can still name it your own way, but I think certain things should be included, like the date the file was made, or.
Well, that's how I start mine, because that way I know, I mean,
Right,
if you have something like a tax bill, and you think, well, what's that? So if you go like 2020 PO1, and, or whatever, what else do I do by month? Oh, sometimes I do receivables by month, so I'll go 2021, I do it by month, so it would be September receivables. So that it's all my 221s are available, and then by the month, I can see. So if you asked me what were my receivables in March, I would go, what year? And I would go right there, and they would be all
Right.
there. So, but it's, sometimes the date is important that it's first.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, like I said, when I do my minutes, I do what board the minutes for, if the meeting minutes are draft, or if they're approved as amended, or approved as written, and the date of the meeting. And that
So,
way I know.
Michelle, I know you had sent me that you had gone to a conference and there was someone that was having, is that digitizing records?
I think it is.
Yeah, that's what I
Yep,
thought so too.
and he followed up with me, I think I just forwarded it to you yesterday.
You did.
Um,
And I think that would be an interesting thing to go to and see exactly what service they offered. And again, I would like to sell that as an ARPA project myself,
Okay.
if I could. Because I think that, I'm not sure what's involved as far as when you have someone come and scan it for you or whatever I'm looking for. We'd have to come up with a method to save it and name it and
Mhm.
all that sort of stuff. So I'd be interested how they do it. So, that's next Wednesday in Salem,
It's in Salem, yes.
yeah. You wanna go to that, Russ?
I'm closer, if you want me to. I can do
Why
that.
don't you think about that?
Yeah.
Because I think that would be very valuable. And, you know, obviously, they're trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but
But I can take notes and then report.
But just see what they're, you know, and we could check with a couple other vendors. I'm sure
Yep.
there's more than one.
Yes, I have a couple more flyers that I picked up at the conference about document management, accounts payable automation, document storage,
And I think, you
scanning
know,
document services.
if we can use whatever we can use as far as the computer to help us, I mean, there's only so many of us. And,
Right.
Mhm.
and it's just, and there's still, the workload is pretty, you know, intense.
And this was information on the PDF-A document format that I had brought up before, that if we are gonna scan things, they have to be in a format that I guess is easily opened or open, to be able to be opened in a future time period because of technology changes and so forth. So I guess this PDF-A is the way to store it.
You know, I would believe anything you told me, because I just don't know, but.
Do we have capabilities of doing something in PDF-A now?
I think that's already what we scan into.
Well, we scanned a PDF, but I don't know if it's A.
I think it's a standard PDF.
It says it, PDF-A is a device
Oh.
independent digital document format that provides for the mix of text and graphic data with attention to constraints and ensure full future access and readability. This format has been approved for municipal use with the new law from August of 2016.
We could look in to see what we're scanning to, but I believe.
We'd
we're
have to
scanning-
ask Computech if it's PDF-A or if it's just PDF.
Well,
we could
that
probably-
would be, I'm sure that your vendor would
So Russ
also be
will
involved with that.
try to attend that and report back to us then?
Yeah, I think if you can, Russ.
Whatever it is, it
When
can,
is it gonna be?
it should
Next
not be
Wednesday.
editable.
Next Wednesday.
Right.
You
Is
don't
that-
want any of
Yeah.
these records to be edited.
No.
And what time is that gonna be?
I've got it, the
You got
information,
it?
I'll give it
Okay.
to you, and we'll sign you up, and it includes lunch for us,
Oh, wonderful.
yeah. Yeah.
I wonder where it's gonna be.
It's at the Tuscan Kitchen in
Oh, I know
Salem.
exactly where that is.
Okay, and they're looking to sell you something, I'm just
So don't
telling.
buy it.
You
Got
don't
it.
have
Yeah.
buying authority.
So, Russell, whatever you do, don't sell the whole town while you're down there. Okay, I got it.
Okay,
Don't spend
thanks.
the money we
Um,
don't have.
I've made my point, yeah.
Don't sign a contract. Okay.
And then the last thing we were gonna talk about at this meeting was discussion for record storage, which would, I kinda,
That's kind
Feel
of
that-
like related, isn't
Well, I
it?
think we're also getting to the condition that the vault is getting kind of cramped, and I think we need to start looking
You think it's
towards.
cramped now? You should have been here before.
I really want to get on somebody's list to be able to get a fireproof file.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a good CIP project to discuss.
I do too.
Is getting a place to store records and maybe putting that as something we plan in the future, because it's gonna need to happen.
So
And I am
fireproof
conveniently, two of us are on that committee.
How much does a fireproof file cost? Do you have any idea?
Yep, we just bought one a while back. That
But
one in
wasn't it
the
like
corner.
$2,000-something dollars?
No.
Well,
It was like around
isn't
600.
the entire vault room fireproof?
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
But I'm worried about, I mean, I have records that I access almost every day, and they're in the file, they're in my desk,
Yeah.
which is wood. It would be nice if we all had a fireproof file for the day-to-day things that we need that are permanent records. My records don't go into the vault room until after the audit.
Well, that brings up
That's when I put things away.
something I was gonna talk about, a little segue.
Well, then maybe we need more than one fireproof. I say that 5 times
Fireproof.
fast.
Yeah,
Fireproof file.
The other thing is,
I
that
have-
they
I'm
do
like a
come in,
drawer.
they do come in two, they come in lateral, they come in two drawer. So Karen could have one and I could have one, and the other part of it is, a lot of the times, you can get this stuff much more reasonably priced if you go through an office supply warehouse that,
Yeah, I'm just thinking of, because we've got the CIP program coming up, and so
Yeah.
we could put that in our CIP request. And if we were able to get it out of the grant or some other method, fine.
Well,
But,
that fireproof file that the supervisor's checklist have, we got, probably in 2018, so I could go back and tell you how much it was.
yeah,
But
just to
And
give us a
probably
ballpark figure.
50% upcharge at this point with the cost of everything.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And an
know.
8-month wait time.
Mm.
So,
Well, that's,
okay.
You need
The other-
3 men and a boy to move it.
Or Sarah.
Or Sarah,
Yeah,
Charles'
or
mom.
Sarah Child's mom.
Oh, she got angry and moved it herself.
She moved it herself.
Determined. I don't know
Unbelievable.
about angry, but determined.
Wow.
Yeah, but
the other-
anyway,
the other part of that is I think we also need to find out and start planning on a bigger storage area.
so
'Cause
that
that thought's
brings
gonna
me
run out.
to, and I know that, I think that the storage area could be organized better.
Yeah.
You
You
know.
should have seen it
I
a few
understand,
years ago.
I understand it was, and, you know, and I know how these things happen because you're busy doing your job, you don't really have a lot of time for that. But maybe we could devote some time into trying to, not to make more space, but I think you could utilize the space you have better.
I don't know how much more
How-
space we actually have in there.
How is the humidity doing in there now
Not
since
great.
it's still, do we need a bigger unit?
I'm not sure how that's gonna, we could try a different unit.
I've got one in my office that's a lot bigger.
Yeah, we could try it. It's just that it needs to get below 55 humidity and it's still at like, I think the lowest we've gotten it's 56.
It's been pretty close though.
It's
I
getting
mean-
pretty close. But ideally 55 is the top of the range and we should really be around.
And I've noticed if
50.
you feel the paper in there, it's much better.
It is a better situation.
And it's probably making up a lot of ground too for,
Right.
Well,
Years of not having it, yeah.
It's interesting because I don't think it's, I mean, when I empty it, I mean, the other day it was full because it hadn't been empty for a few days, but it's not terrible full,
no.
but it is definitely pulling moisture out of the air.
It is. So it's
Yeah.
doing its job. I'm just,
So we could try Michelle's,
Yeah.
to see if we could get it down, if 55 is the ideal.
well, 45 is the ideal. 55 is the top of the
Right.
range.
I mean, I think we're making an effort to
Right.
help it, you know, whatever it is. We might not get to the 40.
Or, yeah. I'm just pointing it out.
I don't know much about humidity, but
Mm.
humidity control.
so Dana, you're gonna look into adding, or I
Can't-
guess
on the
the
file
fireproof
cabinets,
file-
Wendy said she'd kind of get me an idea of what I'm looking for money.
for money.
I think I'll add in that to the CIP. Now, we may not be able to sell them to the CIP committee, but we
Well, there's
certainly can
something in
have.
there for office furniture, I believe,
Well, that's where it's going.
So can
That's
we
where
just-
it would go,
up then.
you
I
know.
don't know if there's room in there, but I'm envisioning all of the different storage rooms I dealt with in the 20 years I worked at Granite State College. And the best one had shelving on the perimeter, two sides of the perimeter, and in the center of the room, it had shelving that you could go on either side. And I'm not sure that this room is big enough to do that, but
That's
when you
the
open
other
the
problem.
door, you would walk this way and you'd have shelving, and then you'd walk this way and you'd have shelving. Now, what that would do is it would eliminate the need for some of the cabinets that we have in there. And it would probably help with moisture, because it's not locked in a cabinet. But again, I don't know if the room's big enough to do that, but I could see where that might be a better use of the area that we have.
Yeah, I think that certainly we could work with the area we have. It'd be nice at a bigger area, but that's the point I'm trying to make, is to utilize our space more.
Yeah.
Where I used to work, their vault, they had a whole wall of the vault, and what you did, there were sections, and you'd crank it open and you could go into it and file, and then you could crank it so it kind of opened and closed, and you would just open the section you wanted to be in, which was, so you're able to store a lot of stuff in there. Now, again, I'm not saying that's the answer, but, so there are products out there that can help you with, but again, I'm not the expert on that. I'd need someone to come in and tell me what I needed or should think about. But I think at this point, we're just starting.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Yep.
year from now, we'd
Frankly, I still feel that this is an overwhelming task, but I know that we're trying to make steps, but it just seems like this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and maybe a prioritizing
Right.
it so it doesn't
Well,
seem
I think it's
daunting.
better not to get discouraged by looking at how much needs to be done, but taking satisfaction from what has been done.
Yep, and also, like any time when you get a project, when I worked in my other industry, my other life, when you have a daunting list of stuff to do, categorize it, and start with what needs to
Because
get
after
done
this
first.
policy is going, then it would, to me, my focus would be the permanent records and understanding where they are at this point.
Right.
And
Existing records.
yes, identifying where all these
Mhm.
meeting minutes are and things that say that are supposed to be in my custody and aren't.
Mhm.
Right. And that also comes to this, because I wanted to bring this out. Some of these records, where we say where the location is, they're often in two different locations depending on whether they're active or inactive.
Well, that's what it means.
'Cause
There's
I
the
use
use
Bruce-
record
And then the
and then the
location,
location.
because I use the use record as land use, and then the land use office, because a building permit goes to the vault when it's done.
Yeah. So there's like almost the working record and then where it would be,
Where will it end up for all eternity?
right. So it kind
They're
of
with me
addresses
until the
that.
auditors, and then they're in the vault, so
And
that's
they're
what
in the
I
vault.
did, tax collector.
Which is
in
the same,
vault.
once the certificate of occupancy is done on a building permit, it goes in the vault.
Michelle, are you anticipating that all of those minutes from all of the committees since whenever are gonna end up in the vault?
But that would probably be a good candidate for this, if the scan piece of it. And then I think once they're scanned and secure, then they can be destroyed. The paper copy can be destroyed.
Right, cause
This is on minutes, you mean?
committee minutes,
Okay.
Now, we do have some digital stuff from other boards. I know we've received it, and we've stored it in files on the computer.
Mhm.
So that wouldn't be too bad to print off and
No.
just put them in a folder and maybe find a filing cabinet. We can put them in the vault and let you know where the location is.
but what she's, and the
But-
idea is we don't have much room in the vault, and
I
so
know,
what we're
that's
saying
part of
is
the problem.
So
if
let me
there
ask
could
you
be
that
s-
again, because I just didn't get it. If, I thought you had to keep the actual minutes for a period of time.
Holy
I'm just thinking, select board minutes, for example, because that's what I'm most familiar with.
See, yes, and it says that that has to be
Kept a certain-
permanently.
Okay.
But if they're scanned, is that considered a permanent record? Like, or do you
That's
have
probably
to
what
have the
I'm trying to
physical?
ask you, yeah. Yeah.
We definitely would need clarification.
We need to
because
know.
we don't want to.
that. Right, because we don't want to say,
Read them
because we
all.
have, I mean, recent years, we have them all electronically.
Yeah, and we do have.
However, I don't want to throw out the minutes until
But
I know.
there's been some, like, what was it, 60 something that they wanted, it was on the warrant, but we couldn't find the minutes. And that was before the minutes from the previous town meeting were printed in the next town report.
Yeah,
So we don't know
Right.
the outcome
Okay.
of that.
yeah. So it's, we'd have to
But
investigate that.
it would be better to identify that, nope, we don't have the records from this period to that period. Because there's vital records that I don't have, that I've been
The key
requested.
should be that we know where they are.
Yep.
But
In
then
whatever
weren't
form
some of
they're
the
in.
vital records destroyed in the fire at Ruth Stebbins years ago?
That's the story that's been passed down, but I would rather maybe have a little more
So are
solid
any of those,
information on
because they were something that was done originally in that office, something that would be obtainable through the state?
But sometimes it's the state that's asking me to refer to
Oh.
my records because of clarification. Like they may not be able to read that second copy in the
Right,
3-part form
right.
type of
That was
thing.
that paper that faded years ago, that everything was done on, yeah, chemical paper. I just wondered if, a lot of the stuff that did get destroyed in the fire, birth certificates, things like that, if that's something that could be obtained through the state archives, and that way it could become more permanent with us. But I don't know if that's
Sometimes it can be,
obtainable.
but it's
And there's a
strange
cost.
because it was, I don't know, 70s. I have the births and the deaths, but I have no marriage records, or one of those categories.
Right.
I have 2 of that year, but not the third one.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if they just got lost somewhere or, so to me, if there was a fire, wouldn't that whole year have been destroyed?
You would think, unless she didn't take those out of the records home, you know, or if it was her home, maybe she didn't have them in the same spot that caught fire. I don't know.
And that's the other thing is that some, you know, like, should we identify whether records are allowed outside of the town?
Mhm.
Because people are working from their homes sometimes, or boards and committees that don't have their own office
Mhm.
here. And what kind of records are they removing?
Right.
I would say no.
Yep,
I would say a permanent record, or the record should be here, and if they need something, they get a copy of it. That the record should stay under your control.
Yeah, that there should be, you know, like the working copy maybe.
Well, but
and
there's
then-
also certain things that you can't make a copy of. For example, non-public minutes.
But those shouldn't be leaving the office anyways.
Right.
Those should be kept here.
They are fascinating.
So do we have another category of permanent non-public records? We have to store them in a special place?
The Stan keeps those. I think you have a safe or something, you put them in.
But I
What's that?
have
The
records that are,
non-public?
Non-public.
Non-public?
The safe was in back of my desk in a shoebox, or a paper box that envelopes came in, I think it was.
Oh,
And I was thinking, now that the board has gone through many of them and have made them public minutes, or they will once we have our meeting on Monday, the ones I have left, I'm gonna put into the safe, into the vault.
okay.
Because yes, they should be.
And
They
then we
really
do
should.
have that locked filing cabinet.
Right,
And,
that's where they should go. I
Yeah.
think there are some in that locked filing
yeah,
cabinet actually.
okay, so I mean, that would
Locked
be,
filing cabinet,
that would
which is
be,
where?
In the vault room.
Okay.
That's where the
Yeah.
employee stuff goes.
Yeah,
I-
employees' records.
We
and
know
all
that.
Yeah.
and again, that's.
Legal cases there and there too.
All right, so I'm just wanting to review my action items.
okay,
I'm gonna email all the committees, remind them to fill this retention schedule out. When should I say we need it back by? The next meeting, should we set a date for the next meeting and then have it by then?
well, I would like it maybe a week prior so that they can be all merged into
Okay.
one for review.
So when we set the date a little later, or when, if we do it later this meeting, I'll just put a week before that,
Yeah,
right? Okay. They should send it to you?
sure,
Action item 2, Russ is gonna attend the October 6th meeting regarding digitizing records in Salem, and he's gonna bring us back a report at the next meeting
okay.
of what he learned.
If anything.
Action item 3, I'm going to add to the CIP request 5 fireproof files, and Wendy will tell me what the last one cost.
I would prefer a lateral file if they have such a thing, if Wendy's saying that
Is there
they
any
do.
particular color I can offer you?
No,
No.
because I need a new lateral file anyway, so if I can, and then I can put my working,
Okay,
Stuff
well,
in
this
the-
is just to put a
it looks like
placemaker
I'm
in
pointing to the
a
camera.
marker here.
I
Okay,
will make sure I have prices for lateral, 4-drawer and 2-drawer.
Okay.
Is that that's
Okay.
a 4-drawer, right?
maybe,
Yep,
and this doesn't have to be done by the next
I don't
meeting,
need a
but
4-drawer.
review the organization of the
I
vault,
mean, I thought you guys would replace the two.
maybe.
The drawer
Yeah.
one on the floor with.
Have I forgotten anything?
That you already have.
were we gonna have the policy to the board?
Oh, that,
On,
yes,
Fine.
on the 18th,
Yes.
policy to board.
For approval or review?
Okay, so I would need to have that by the 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, by the 13th,
Okay,
please.
all right.
anything else?
Just maybe the date for our next meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing. Probably should
I
be,
have no calendar.
Oh, let me
What
go,
do you mean?
I left my phone in the other room,
are
go
we
get
gonna
it.
wanna meet again this month, or we wanna meet next month?
Well, this month ends on Thursday.
Oh, whoops, I keep thinking we're on October already.
No.
So no, not this month.
So we will meet in
October.
October. Cause we already met twice in this month.
It does end on Thursday, oh my gosh.
Well, I would suggest we wanna meet before the select board reviews the policy.
Okay, why?
I'm just asking if we
Oh.
do. We don't have to, but do we?
Well, I think that if they review the policy and they have questions, we'd need to bring it back to the next meeting.
That's probably a good,
So
Yeah.
make it after that.
Yeah.
So we do it
Can you share it
after.
with us though, so that we can make sure that, you know,
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
it's been done?
How about the October 26th, which is the last Tuesday, if that's what we're doing? Or, we had started with, I think we delayed it, what, 2 weeks this time?
yes. Well, I gotta make sure.
I believe I have no conflicts other than it's solar project subcommittee.
I can't do the Monday, my boiler's being cleaned. I feel so embarrassed, it might be dirty.
Well, it's also better to do it on the Tuesdays and Thursdays because we're not open to the public.
That's best days for us.
What day, the 26th?
26th, can you do that?
Yep, I'm,
Are you free?
yes. I have to ask my supervisor if I can get out of work early.
Well, I mean,
We can make it.
is that a
1:30.
problem? We can,
No, cause that's the last Friday of the month week,
oh,
so I work till
would you rather
3:30,
do the
but
week before?
I can do the week before. At 1:15 again,
All right, so now,
19?
so we've decided we're gonna do the 19th?
Yeah,
All right.
At 1:15?
yeah, yes.
And I will put that on the calendar. On the website.
All right.
With the right time this time.
Monday.
Only because Michelle called and said, so Dana fixed it.
Well, I gotta go through it now. Put all the meetings for next month up now.
Yeah.
You know, it's good you can fix things, cause, you know, and I'm happy that I've made every mistake you can make so that you know how to fix it.
That's a good thing.
Whoops!
Well, there's probably some more coming. Be careful.
Oh, I'm sure, I have no doubt of that. All right, so October, I'm having trouble with my phone here, 19th. Great. 1:15. I'll be
So
looking
that's
forward to
3
seeing you
weeks.
all then.
Yep.
Okay, and we've done well with the time, it's 2:11.
Good.
Shall we
Make a motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
That's my motion to adjourn, yep.
Second,
Everybody in favor?
2:11.
Yes.
Well-
Oh, that's good, thank you,
Please write that down.
because I'm gonna be asking you later. That's another
11.
mistake I just made.
Does
Michelle made
everybody,
the motion, I seconded.
and
this
I'm in
time.
favor,
Everybody's in favor.
All right.
You don't really need a motion to adjourn, do you?
I don't know.
I've
I think
always,
you do.
We usually do. It.
I know for town meeting we do. That's the only meeting I'm used to.
Make sure you push the
Being
button,
an
Russ.
attendant.
I
Well,
wanna push the
the
button,
only
Wendy.
town meeting that I've attended with you, Michelle, was a fiasco. Especially since I lost my damn glasses.